Next week, our top 4 teams will head to the Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas, and tickets are still available to see your favorite pros compete up close and personal. Head over to lolesports.com/tickets to reserve your ringside seats and witness the crowning of the North American Spring Champions. No, it's not us. But right now, it is time to get back into our series at hand with Game 2 between Team Impulse and APX. And I think Game 1, we really just need to say, Proxen.
Yeah, that's about it. Proxen absolutely smashed that game. He manhandled him start to finish.
For sure.
He was exactly where he needed to be in the early game. And in the late game, he played the fine line very, very well. He was able to play extremely aggressive, make sure he was getting the most out of all the items that he had, the most out of the damage that he could, without ever really dying. You know, going 9-1-5, pretty impressive.
So taking Kindred away from this guy may just be the deal in that. Seeing bot lane as well, Mash played himself pretty strong. We saw a great play coming as well from just the rest of the team.
Yeah.
The mid lane, Pyrion, was like the first guy to die, but then his teleports were on point, and that's actually something we didn't mention too much that game, is that both teams matched in teleports, and the plays became bigger for Impulse once they had that lead. They never used them to get a bigger lead, but they used them to always make sure they never lost it against Apex, which was really big. Proxen, however, is candid on Tip's cohesion issues, but says it doesn't stem from communicating in 2 languages.
저희 팀이 아무래도보다 그 메시하고 저하고 거의 오더가 많이 갈려가지고 서로 얘기하다 보면 저는 용을 먹고 싶은 상황인데 메시는 막 탑을 가서 CS를 먹기 원하니까 이러다 보니까 좀 엇갈리는 경향이 많아요. 그렇게 얘기하다가 한 사람이 먼저 글로 움직이면 따라가고 그렇게 하다 보니까 확실한 오더 같은 건 딱히 없는 것 같아요 지금.
He's trying to get the farm. I'm trying to get Dragon, win the game, and Mash just up in top lane farming.
That's great, because
like my AD carries in solo queue.
Usually we have a jungle up here, so I'm just like, I know you'd want to get the jungle and get the farm, but I would go for the lane. I help my AD carry. Have to. But yeah, so that's actually an interesting point, because that's kind of easily fixable, right? Somebody can have a definitive call, you take it, and it seems like that was very much what was happening last game. At some points, we did see Wolves being taken and Gromp being taken with like 2 inhibitors down and a Baron buff, but teach their own. If you want to take a breath, take a breath. They're going to take a drink. They're going to get into champion select for this one, and we're going to see how game 2 goes. Apex definitely rethinking last game, or thinking about game 2, I should say, kind of during last game, saying what do we do differently here? Obviously, there's not too much of a reason to put stress on game 1. Let's pick it up in game 2.
I think with tournaments, with qualifying events like this, there's so much pressure and so much stress on the players. A lot of it comes down to mental strength. You know, there's one of those things where you have a bad game, right? You have to be able to differentiate between a bad game where it got snowballed and a problem with your strategy, right? So you have to be able to say, no, that was fine. Our strategy was fine. We messed up. The Kindred got snowballed. That's that. We'll do it better next time. And if you know that your strategy is fine, you have to have confidence and stick with it.
Absolutely. We've seen teams in the past kind of get stuck around, you know, we played that strategy bad. It works. When it semi-doesn't, it's almost the different side of the picture.
Yeah, you got to be able to tell which is which. Maybe the strategy was bad and you played bad. You just gotta burn the whole thing down and get something new.
So, something new. What could be fresh for this game? The Thresh will be banned. That X Special did have a play in that recently in the finals versus TDK. Played it quite well, 0-1-14, getting those assists for the team. The Azir still getting his taken out there. A little bit of cleanup on Azir, and people have been enjoying taking him back to the mid lane. We see the Sivir and the Nidalee once again. Chris doesn't get Poppy. All the things we'd expect to see. And this Corki ban as well keeps coming in. It's Keens or Police. Police plays Corki quite a bit there, so Tip continues to keep that one on the map.
Yeah, all pretty normal stuff except for the Thresh, which is a little bit strange to me. You know, it can be one of those things where it's just like, sometimes people just hate playing against a champion, right? Or they feel that it's particularly disruptive to the strategy that they want to play or the lane that they want to play, especially if they want to go 2v2. But Thresh definitely not a common ban.
Prepared. The shoes are off. The aerodynamics are in play.
You gotta play without shoes on stage, Riv. You gotta play how you practice. And who plays at home with shoes on?
That's true. Very true. It's different. I don't know. If you get me on an odd day, I might have sandals on, I might have slippers on. There's never a consistent for me.
First thing, when I get home, socks come off. But I'm way more comfortable. It's fantastic.
I am not gaining elo for that reason. Now I know why.
That's why. That's what you've been doing wrong this whole time.
Challenger boys, here I come. Kindred now being hovered over on the side of Apex. Really looking for the aggression in that sense. Eve does stay in. There was no swap to Shrimp in the jungle for this one. And they're going to stick with that. It's going to be the Kindred and the Echo picked up, this time on the side of Apex.
Yeah, I'd like this a lot more for Apex because Echo is much more of a playmaker. You're putting, this top laner who crushed through Challenger Series on a playmaker, someone who can actually do something more for themselves. Maokai, great champion, right? But you're playing supportive. You're a force multiplier. You're the guy who's there that is allowing the rest of their team to do what they want to do. On Echo, you can make stuff happen on your own. You can get those kills. You can make big plays, and that's something that Chris wants to look to do.
Absolutely. We saw Fang doing a little bit of that last game, dancing around for us with the corner breaks, getting himself back to safety. The Rise does get locked in. Yes, it does. That was banned out last game, and we're not going to see that play in maybe the top or the mid lane here, actually. Proxen with the Lucian for MASH.
Yeah, so Rise does sneak through, and definitely a pretty strong pick, but it'll be interesting to see, Apex now taking up the Kindred. I'm interested to see what the response is going to be here from Proxen, because, obviously Kindred took over last game completely.
Yeah.
What is Proxen's answer to it? Is he going to go with something like displacement? A lot of people talk about things like Gragas and Lee Sin and things like that, where you can knock them out of their ultimate and take them down. Janna, another good champion who can knock him out of his ultimate. Things like that can be pretty powerful. Will they go that route, or will they just say, no, we're just going to be able to A, burst him down before he can do anything about it, or B, just kind of deal with it and just win it later in the fight?
Right. I think the Gragas would definitely look like the right choice here. Or that Lee. Proxen plays it. Looking back at his history, there's a few Lee Sin games in the final weeks, but mostly that Nidalee, mostly that Rek'Sai Elise coming through the season, so he may just go for the Gragas if he's been practicing that lately. Kalista Braum locked in on the side of Apex. That'd be nice that they do take away Braum from MASH and Gate, kind of get a little more assistance there. Or take away the assistance, I should say.
Yeah, it's almost like the two teams are just kind of swapping comps,
I was going to say that in the beginning, but I was like, we'll see how far this goes.
Yeah, because, we got the Braum, we got the Kindred, we got the Echo. Kalista, they weren't able to take the Lucian because the Lucian was already picked away. But Kalista, another very strong AD, is weaker with the nerfs that have gone in, but still incredibly powerful, great engage in conjunction with the Braum as well, and wow.
Okay, Shen Bard.
I like
locked in for the final selection. Zao likes it. Why do we like it?
Because Shen's my favorite champion. That's why I like it.
Bias.
I don't know if they should like it, but I like it. I think it's cool. I dig it. But one of the things that's kind of tough is, it's like you want to be able to get land taunts on the Kindred, trying to delete them, right? If you have enough CC, you can blow them up really fast, things like that. But both Kindred and Kalista are very evasive. The Q from Kindred, hopping back and forth, he's able to dodge a lot of taunts. Kalista very evasive as well, especially once they get more attack speed, hopping back and forth, able to avoid taunts. Yes, you have the taunt flash, but if you miss your taunt, it's like a one-way trip on Shen, right? You miss your taunt on Kalista, you were going to get the spear stacked on you, you were going to get crushed. So this is something where it's like, yes, it's great if you execute it properly, but if you miss those taunts, and these are two AD carries which have a lot of ways to avoid those taunts. Echo also, has his dash. So this is tough, right? If you miss it, it's going to be really tragic for you, but if you hit it, you're going to look like a god.
I am excited for this game. Double AD life for both teams. A team from Impulse that wants to kind of group up, maybe Shen ult the Rise, get in there and crush with then the double ADs in the back, right? A little help from Bard. Yeah. But when you're grouping in that, in the Kindred ultimate, this Shockwave is going to come through. This looks like it can be absolutely crazy. I am very excited to see Game 2 coming in here, and especially Apex with a team now that can kind of utilize that Shockwave. Even when you're down, you can hit a good Shockwave, get something back. If now Eve can go off on Kindred himself this time.
Yeah.
With Lamb and Wolf.
And they have some good ball delivery through Echo. Also, you can ball into the Braum and throw him in with the Kalista ult. So there's a lot of delivery systems here for that Orianna ultimate. And there's also a lot of positional requirement here for Tip, where they all have standby the same area, right? Like Lucian, Graves, Bard, and Rise all basically kind of want to stand in that 550, 600 range type area. So they're going to have to be very well spread, right? Like this is not like a very well balanced comp as far as some people want to be over here, some people want to be over there, right? They're all standing right here. Well, and if you all get shockwaved,
we'll see how it goes. Keep updating those votes over on Twitter. You know how it goes. LOL Esports. Hashtag TipWin. Hashtag APX win. We'll tally those up as we get into game. We're about to get on the riff for game number 2. Looking for a spot in the LCS is Apex. Looking to keep that spot is Impulse. 1 game up already in this best of 5. We are going to see how game 2 goes. We have to remember Impulse came out very strong in game 1. Apex looking to make that happen here for game 2.
Yeah, Empyrean is looking to be super greedy here with his start. He's starting with a refillable potion plus the mana crystal. He wants to get straight into the tier and maybe go for that corrupting potion as well, or just sit on this. But either way, this is definitely like the super greedy build where, you know, tier alone is kind of like much weaker as far as combat potency than Endurance Ring, and then you're adding on top of that, you're taking the refillable potion instead of the individual potions, which are also a lot weaker. So you're basically saying like, it's almost like disrespect, right? Like to me, this is like, yeah, Keen. That's nothing to me. I'm gonna be fine in lane. So if it works out for him, it's gonna be great. But it could go poorly.
Yep. Keen running cleanse to keep
himself clean.
Keep himself clean. So fresh and so clean in that mid lane, shielded up and protected. Looks like we will get the match. I'm going to enjoy this quite a bit. We're going to get some good fighting here in the early game, and also. Oh, they did place another ward. I was going to say while we were chatting that Pixel Brush ward got cleared, but they put another one down. I was going to say if Proxen could actually sneak in that jungle, would have been quite great. Gate going around picking up some chimes. And
Apex, you know, they have the read on this. They think they're going to come and try to stop the Gromp, and they're going to try to get some damage done here.
Oh, hello. Yes,
nice
we have matched up. That was actually really good. It's such a tricky spell. If you're already behind that person, you move. You're still going to get hit. It's like, no, I saw you there. Cosmic Binding.
That was actually like, that looked like nothing really happened, but that could have actually been super tragic for Tim had Gate not hit that binding. So really well played by him, very reactionary. You know, a smart adaptation though by Apex. Apex is saying, you think we're going to do the Gromp, so we're not going to do the Gromp. We're going to wait around the corner, and we're going to force some summoners early on.
Absolutely. It's a little bit of their homework coming into play and options to give themselves a slight lead. Didn't really work too much, but still they kind of have that mind game potential now. See if they'll try some more things this game. Top is obviously going to be Chris going aggressive as he hits level 2 first. And Fang's not going to have too much trouble. How should this actually play out for him being such a Shen fan?
Yeah, I mean, Shen can definitely farm very well under turret. Chris is trying to shove aggressively, but he's missing CS to do it. He wanted to get the level advantage to see if he can bully him. But the thing is, Shen doesn't really care about farming under turret. With your Q, it's super easy. So, you know, as far as just shoving in, it's not as advantageous as it is against a lot of other top laners. So I think Shen is going to be very happy to just kind of farm it out and then look for a gank assist with the taunts, you know, wait for Proxen to come up there, or look for opportunities to ult to the bot lane, ult to mid lane, etc., and try to set up those ganks.
Also a bit of a style change for Impulse coming into this. Fang on that Echo last game, now onto a tank, and Proxen again going on something aggressive to keep that in there. Pyrian will have a bit more damage himself as he gets this Rise stacked up. And Eve will start his stacks as well. That is his, correct? Oh no, it's just regular Scuttle.
Yep, so Fang going for a little trade there, trying to hit the taunt. If you can get the taunt, it's important to get the Keyblade pass through. So you want to pull your Keyblade through your opponent, which gives you the bonus of damage and attack speed. So you're able to get really good trades if you can do that with your passive shield as well. So you can trade pretty aggressively and do pretty well, but where Shen struggles is you don't really have wave clear, right? So he's just going to get shoved in. And that's fine. He can CS here very easily, but that's why people like to itemize things like Sunfire Cape and build in things like Titanic Hydra.
Gives easy options for Chris. He heads down, places a ward down towards blue buff. Can start to be a bit more aggressive as he gets that path that Proxen would take. But Proxen is taking a different path. He may just go towards mid after taking the Scuttle here, but he does have options as both top and mid lane are pushed against Impulse.
Yeah, I mean, if Proxen just walks straight up the river, this could be problematic for Chris. And he's looking to actually maybe do a wraparound here. And Chris, you know, did a really smart deep ward, but you only have so much vision. You only have so many wards as top laner, and you can't choose every path.
He is quite far, but he's actually playing the lane reset point here, so it's going to be difficult. And Proxen may just get the Z drive on him. Yep. Make him gain that ground that much quicker. Good eye on Proxen to actually go for the wall there for end of the line. He does get a fair bit of damage over onto Chris, so that'll relieve pressure for Fang. Be kind of nice.
Yeah, Chris had it timed out really well of when, you know, Proxen could be topside. Even though he didn't see him on the ward, he's basically saying to himself, this is about when he would be up here. And with his jungler, Eve, heading top lane, he knew he was exposed, right? Eve had base, Eve was heading up there, but Proxen had not based yet, so he was going for that first gank. You know, he's not able to make it work, but chunks out Chris a little bit, trying to get something for Fang.
And a much more even game to start off. This will be a lot more telling of kind of if everything goes straight head-to-head, who's going to have the advantage, who actually messes up first. And right now you consider that to be Apex, right? You're talking about the mentality game a little bit earlier, if that has kind of played on them, if they still have a strong mentality and endurance for the rest of this best of series. It's a lot of League of Legends. And it's kind of easy to lose your way for half a second. Here, Pyrian playing very smart. Still on his game, has the flash and has the fast fingers to do so.
Yeah, does have to flash out of there, but it does cost Eve his flash, so at least it's not a summoner for nothing.
Yep.
You know, Proxim was hanging around as well, but he's just going to base now and buy. So, you know, they didn't really want to take that fight. Yep. Neither of them have purchased yet, and now we are going to see Pyrion be able to base, pick up that tier, start stacking, and this is going to be a bit of a slow burn for Tip. You know, they want to play it slow, they want to stack up, he wants to get the Roa going, he wants to get the Archangels and really stack it up, so he's going to have to play it safe, but you can look, like, he's pretty down on CS. He will pick up quite a bit here, but I would say he actually got away with this starting build pretty well.
Just teleported back to lane, so he definitely is going to be able to clean all of these up. Again, double teleport coming in for Impulse, only single this time for Apex, so that may equal out some pressure as we see level 6s coming around. Just hitting that for Pyrion, you can see him throwing that ult down just to keep clearing waves. That'll basically be up all the time as we get late.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun to zoom around.
Yeah. You know, one thing I'm kind of interested in here is I feel like Tip, last game, they kind of just played a very straightforward comp. They played, you know, you attack frontline, you kind of just build damage. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's a lot more complicated for them. Their execution barrier is like a lot higher. They have to play this really well.
I like that point. Execution barrier makes quite a bit of sense. It's very hard for them to find their way just into a fight.
Yeah.
So you had a great tempered fate from far away.
Like Bard's going to have to hit ults, you know, they're going to have to hit those taunts and stuff, whereas at the other side, Apex is just going to kind of line up. They're going to have two ADs dealing damage, and they're going to try to deliver a good shockwave, right? This is their fight. It's pretty straightforward. Whereas Tip, you know, they're going to have to be dodging those shockwaves. They're going to be having to hit these skill shots, hit these bindings, these stuns, if they want to be able to actually compete in a fight.
It's kind of like you have to let the other team ult first.
Yeah.
And then it's basically good to go. Back to this mid lane, still a 10 CS lead from Keen, so that means he left, as we said, with quite a good lead, is able to hold that. Now this ward from in the top from Chris that died, replaced by Eve, but still gave him the knowledge they may be able to go in. However, Proxim's on security duty. He gets there just in time.
Yeah, and I mean, in the bot lane, Mash has still not based, and he's going to have to play it kind of careful. You know, as Police and Xpecial will get to 6, you have to be really careful, because if they go for an all-in on you here, it's a Doran's Blade to a Cutlass, right? So he's got nothing, and he's going to have to play it pretty safe.
It's going to be quite painful. Mash likes to stay out.
Yeah.
He loves his farm. It looks like he'll be doing that here. Knowing he's up in CS, wants to get maybe even just a few more so it doesn't hurt as much when he goes back. Prox in, giving a little bit of love to the invade here. Sees that go down. At least he has a knowledge of Eve. They'll be able to ping that out as Pyrion again continues to push the mid lane. 12.1 as we go into this one. There was already about a 2,000 gold lead last time we saw this happen, or last game, I should say, by this time, due to that top lane gank. No lane swap this game, slows things down very much. Proxim isn't even getting really a very aggressive start on. There's kind of gentleman's agreement. Let's keep farming in the jungle.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that kind of confuses me about that is it's like you take this Shen that allows you to do these aggressive plays, like 4-man bot, your jungler shows up, gets ulted, you dive him, right? Do these things, but then Mash doesn't buy. So now you actually can't really do that very well because your AD is much weaker. So it's like your mid lane is scaling, your AD is not buying. You know, where is Shen supposed to make these plays? And I feel like if you're not going to try to make these plays, why are you picking Shen, right? This is like where his strength is. His strength is he's able to show up in another lane, turn a fight, or create a dive.
Right.
And when you're not going to do that, you're not playing to the champion's strengths, and I think that's a pretty big mistake.
Well, if it could happen, Fang's teleport is coming back up. I mean, Mash has actually had this wave frozen here for a few levels.
Here we go, there's the Shen ult.
Just quickly thrown out, Police taking the damage, and it's going to have to be a flash in for them to finalize this kill. They are able to finally get Apex on the bottom side. And they must have been itching to get that Shen out off as well. Those words are easy. But yeah, still without the damage on Mash, took a little bit longer, and somehow they still get the kill.
Yeah, really well played. It was a really good tempered fate to set that up, and that really kind of allowed them to get that when they otherwise may not have been able to, because it allowed to get them like behind them, right? And it's really set it up. So a great job, and that's exactly what you want to do with Shen. They do pull off the play. It costs them, you know, quite a few summoners, but that's fine. And this is exactly what they need to do. Shen needs to just go back to top lane now, farm it out, and just repeat, right? Every time the ult's up, rinse and repeat. That
was great. Dragon leveled up. Fantastic play coming in from Tip in the bot once again to pull that off. Let's see one more time. It had been so quiet, so you're almost at this point not expecting anything to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, that tempered fate, forcing the flash from Police, allowed him to be able to take him out there, right? If he still had the flash, if they were a little bit further back, if Special could have peeled a little bit more with Winter's Bite, with his ult, and he could have flashed out of there, it could have been a very different story, but well set up and well executed.
So that means a BF and a Caulfield now. What a back for MASH. Brought the coupons to the store. Chris onto Fang here in the top lane, and looks like APX is going to start putting the pressure on. They say you want to stay under this turret, you're going to get dove. And he actually gets the taunt on. They do want it. That's the teleport coming in from Pyrian, and he's going to throw it on the ultimate, but he gets so blocked trying to get through. Might need a new hurdle passive for Rise.
Yeah, we'll let him know. We'll get that in there. But Chris is going to have to flash out. So they do get something, right? It's a TP for a flash, a worthy trade, and they are able to keep their turret alive for now. It's really low, so it is going to go down eventually, but still denying them that gold for now is definitely fine.
So getting that flash out of Chris, so not too bad at all.
Nope.
Apex cleaning up some wards. They really lacked in vision last game, but that's kind of how the snowball goes. They couldn't get out to place any. This time, with that option, they are going to make sure they clear and get those wards out so they don't get snowballed on. Yeah,
and I mean, you can see Apex working away on this mid lane turret, getting it quite low. And they have a very good group in Siege, right? You have the ball for the zone control from Keen. You have the Braum for disengage if they do try to go in on you. And like you said, Gate is going to have to hit a great Tempered Fate. They're going to have to get something, or they're going to have to get a flank from Fang, maybe a Fang proxing combo coming in from the back, try to blow someone up. But even then, you have Kindred ult to kind of deal with that. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, no option to pop Kindred out of that ultimate. We talked kind of about, well, Graves was up, but we did talk about the Gragas, the lead displacement. Still choose not to go for it. I do want to see what happens, though, when they get that ult. Everybody tries to live in it, and you just get Tempered Fate. And then it's everyone for themselves as it opens up, and you're all low health. Here, we may actually get a fight to see that Tempered Fate come out. Magical Journey there for Gate. Nobody's going to take that. It's just the wanted Cosmic Binding. And that fight ends, but no turret grab in the bot lane either. So as top was thwarted, bottom will be thwarted for a second.
Yeah, it has one auto, so they are going to walk up and grab that local gold, but actually a good job by Fang not ulting in there. You can see Tip was communicating because it could have been an easily overreacted situation where they see them going in, you ult over there, and now the ult is down. You have to TP back top, etc. So this is a good job by them not pulling the trigger too early on that, because that's something that they really are going to have to play around to get the win in this game.
Well, this starts to not be good for Impulse. Losing these resources for Pyrian could mean a lot if he starts to not get any blues to stack this up. It's going to be easily taken by Chris. There's a lot of the focus on the bottom side of the jungle. Kind of put that top side thought to the wayside for Impulse. Good take by Chris. He's actually kept an eye on that all game. It seems like it's almost like, Chris, you are on blue this game. They have a Rise. Make sure he doesn't get it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great takeaway, right? It's going to slow down his scaling. It's going to make him back a lot faster. He wants to just spam out these spells and stack this tier as fast as possible.
All right. Get a little aggressive there. Not exactly where you want your taunt to end in the parallel convergence.
Yeah.
Impulse, again, on objectives. They're going to try to start this one off early.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to pick up the Rift Herald, so denying that from the Kindred is great. And you can see, the pacing for Devour this game compared to last. Last game, he was fully sated at 17 minutes. This game, he has 9 stacks at 14 minutes, and he only has the 1 bounty. So it's a massive difference, right? Yeah. Yes, I think the Apex has a stronger and easier to execute composition, but this is not the same Kindred from last game. This is not the Kindred that's going to solo carry and just kill everything, right? At least not yet.
Yep. I think we saw that as well due to this evened up lanes. Not as much love for those sides for the jungler to actually make a move with the lanes being swapped so much. We have hardly any rotating going on here unless it's been a teleport. And those are in favor of Tip, having to run as well as Shen's ability to get back to the top lane and stop that pressure. Now MASH and Gate choose to go mid. Not too much pressure on. Looks like Keen's not really going to worry about that too much either.
Yeah, and I mean, they saw these guys coming up from bot lane, Special and Eve cheating up there, so they don't want to be too far forward and they don't want to get caught. It's also kind of interesting seeing all the refillable potions on Tip, like how highly they prioritize this item. There's 4 on their team. Almost everyone has it except for the Shen. And on the other side, no one has this thing, right? So pretty interesting to see the different playstyles, and obviously in their scrims, they think it's really good.
They're trying to save the turret. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Tempered Fate goes down. And it looks like Apex actually just kind of waltzing around here. Much more control without having a gigantic lead. A lot of respect from Tip. coming in here. They know the bot lane's being pushed. They're not going to lose mid-wave, so they're kind of letting Apex feel almost like they're in the lead here. Apex knows they have to back, and they're going to go ahead and defend these waves.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just tough for their composition to get in, right? Like, what's Rise going to do? Is he just going to walk through the Orianna ball?
Yeah.
Is he just going to walk through the Braum?
Yeah.
Getting in there is pretty tough unless you have some sort of a flank, unless you have, the flash engage. How do you just walk up and start fighting them? They're not going to let you.
Yep. Definitely going to have to drop mid-turret at some point. They already have wards on either side of it, but have not been able to get themselves into a position. Maybe Pyrian coming up in 5 or so minutes. This team does get activated by home guards. If you think about it, the teleports to Shen for them to come in and be able to make a really fast play kind of turns this team on. So another 4 minutes, maybe we'll get some explosive plays. And really just sitting on the Dragon and the Rift Herald right now for Impulse. That next one is alive. Let's see if they go for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, right now you can see in the bot lane once again, about a 20 CS lead or so for MASH. So, this game a lot more even, but still MASH kind of showing his dominance down there. Oh, a nice binding there by Gage. Just kind of blind checks that. And he's going to pick up a little bit of gold for himself. So he knows there's some people in there.
Is it warded? How's it warded? There's a pink in here. It can't be warded. Nicely done. He has actually been hitting a few of those. We saw the early one to prevent pretty much MASH from dying at level 1. And they're still going to pressure this. They have Pyrian right there on the bottom side. He is just hitting level 11, so that's nice for him. And it looks like they will set up. The last thing they want to do, however, is ball up for that shockwave.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a concern the whole game. And it looks like they want to make a play, perhaps, on this Dragon. Apex is going to go for it, but you can see the wraparound coming from Pyrian, and there's the Shen ult. They're going to try to fight here. There's the flash.
Flashes in, throws the ulti down. There's the Lamb's Respite. The Tempered Fate is there. Who will it lock down? And it's Police and Keen in the back line, leaving only Chris to fend for himself. But the fact that he got that parallel convergence stun was absolutely huge, and he can't finish off the kill because of the denial of vision. And this fight is going coast to coast. Keen and Fang still going hard. The taunt will not be there, and Keen should have the dissonance to get away once the ball is pulled back. It's the focus of turrets or the focus of Keen. What do they choose? And he's got enough mana to keep going for a little bit. Dissonance is quite a cost, so with that use, he is going to go down, and the focus from Pyrian in the bot lane has been fantastic towards the turret.
Yeah, Pyrian actually TP'd up there, trying to cut him off, but Keen says, nope, I'm going to go down. He does give away the kill eventually, but honestly, great stuff from Pyrian. We talked about how are they going to get in there. They need the flank, right? This is exactly what they wanted. Their Rise was actually the Shen delivery system. He flashed in there, coming from behind, allowing the Rise into the middle of the fight, which was just so key.
So they didn't need home guards. I said it was going to be 4 minutes before it got explosive, but give it 40 seconds.
Yeah, look at
Impulse
this.
Wanted it.
Pyrian flashes right on top of Police. They're able to get the taunt, but the Kindred ult went down. If that Kindred ult didn't go down, this would have been a 5-for-0 clean ace, like just instantly, right? This would have been tragic. So a really good Kindred ult, but Pyrian playing it smart. And in the backside, we can see Chris trying to take out Gabe, but just barely not able to get off the last auto. And right here is where you actually see Pyrian TPing over, trying to cut off Keen, so that just kind of secured the kill. Probably a wasted TP, but he just wanted to make sure.
Finally picking it up in the end. And really, like we said, not wasting even too much time of Impulse. That bottom turret had the pressure on it, and quite a bit of damage done. You can see it does still stand, but that turret very much so prepped. If this Rift Herald, as we see it going down, is down, and that map is objective free. It will be for quite some time. Dragon just got hit. Rift Herald's going to go over to Proxen, and he will continue to control that jungle. 1-0-3 this game. A bit slower, but it seems like Impulse is still coming together, and the organized fight's a little bit better. Yeah,
I'll be interested to see if Fang's going to pick up Distortion here, because the Flash and TP are going to be so critical for getting into these fights.
Yeah.
He hasn't built any CR, and he didn't actually rune for any either, so that's something that I think he's going to be hurting for a bit. Pyrian, he may even want Distortion as well. I mean, anytime you have Flash TP, it's a pretty worthy pickup, especially when you're going to struggle to get on top of your opponents. And, we see this top lane push, grab the Rift Herald, push with the minion wave, and, Apex really has no choice but to just try to trade.
I thought that was a TP for a second. I was like, don't TP to that turret!
No, it's gone.
Just special backing. Oh, man. My brain is in a different place here. I was like, don't make that play. 20 minutes in. The play, however, being made in the top lane. Chris tries to throw in the parallel convergence to buy the turret a little more time, but he just gets himself in range for some minions. Bot lane being pushed out now by Fang as they kind of repair. Not even really what happened. They're just setting themselves back up. Apex playing a much better game this time and very much more in a chance to really pull a fight into their favor and have the lead.
Yeah, Proxen just kind of stormed through the jungle. He's like, "Oh, Keen, you're leashing the race for me? Thanks." Just picks that up, takes the Raptor away.
Promotion Proxen. He's turned it on.
Yeah, he's going big, and I mean, Mash is really shining through as well. You know, now he's up, 25 CS or so. He's 2-0-2. He has 2 completed items against the 1 and pieces. So
yeah,
they're looking strong. Look at the Rise now. He has his 2 full completed items. His scaling is like fully going in. So. Pyrion's going to get really, really scary. It's hard for him to get in those fights, but if he gets on top of you, you need to expect to die.
Yeah, that's great. That 20-minute Saris Embrace. He was charging that. He was about 400 when we saw them at the fight. The ball's on. Here comes Fang. They're going to get the taunt. This is the thing. After the Tempered Fate, you really can't get out unless Kindred is there. Eve played that huge. Look how much health Keen has to get out. Tip has actually been routed in their way to solidify these kills, and it's been the Kindred ult. Eve, great job there.
Yeah, they just couldn't land the CC out of that ult to hold him in place and kill him. Fang wasn't able to land the taunt at the right timing. We didn't have a root. So they weren't able to really execute it there. It was a great catch, but Eve able to come up with the play, keep his teammate alive.
So that's the kind of things they may need to do over and over. And while Tip does have low cooldowns, and that doesn't help Apex, stops like that give them time to breathe, find the CS, and find openings for themselves when maybe Fang's ult is down now, or that Tempered Fate is down, where they can solidify a kill.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, Tip's going to have to keep looking, right? They just need to look for these picks, try to get those Tempered Fates down, and Gay has done an admirable job, I wasn't sure exactly how good he was going to be looking here on the Bard, but he's looked great so far.
We were wondering what those last few picks were. He came out strong.
And Eve actually picking up the Frozen Mallet, pretty strange. Not something that you usually see on a Kindred. I mean, it does give you more kite and stuff, and it's going to be pretty annoying for someone like the Shen to deal with that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I feel like, Maw, Sterix, Ghostblade, these are items which are really, really common, and they're really, really common for a reason. Eve now about to finish up his Sated, so he does pick that up 22-25, so about 5 minutes, a bit more than that slower than last game.
Considering the composition that Eve is playing against, what would you normally see in that build after you see the skirmishers being Sated?
I think you could easily pick up just something like a Ghostblade if you want to go that route, or I think Maw and Sterix are just always good because you want to make sure that you live until you get your ulti off, right? So he doesn't have Merc Shreds, he doesn't have a Maw or a Sterix, and if you get blown up in a taunt, for example, before your ult goes off, that's going to be a game-losing play. So having the survivability from those other items can be very strong, but at the same time, Frozen Mallet has some HP, has a slow, just probably not the buy that I would have expected.
Much more heavily relying on the ultimate. Oh, wow, Special was just on the cusp of that one, and he got himself out. The Fate's call as well, and Chris TP's in. They're going to say, we can ride this down the mid lane and have them pushed off. Maybe the pressure actually wins here for Apex. If Impulse cannot get that engage that they want, Chris is going to front on that, and they do get good damage here to start. If they finish this turret, that was a great fast play there by Apex, but Impulse able to kind of make them think twice here as Fang gets towards the backside.
Oh, and they are going to be able to get in there, but
still a bit chaotic. Ult misses from Keen. That was the flash coming out of Fang, and I don't know if they really want to decide to go in or not. Collateral damage finally taking out Special. He didn't have the Unbreakable to put back up. And what a scatter fight back and forth. Some people thought it had ended, some people thought it was going. That's what it looked like, and it was definitely going for Impulse. They pick up a kill on that one, and now they're going for Dragon.
I mean, Apex got the inside track. After Eve had to flash the ult, that's a good trade for Bard, right? Yeah. They take that, but then Apex has the inside track. They're pushing up to the tier 2 turret, and they just overextended a little bit. Fang was able to get in there and able to pick them up a kill with a good taunt on Special.
It was kind of just a ride down the mid lane, maybe exit out Wolf, and be good with it. Get good damage on that turret. A little aggression. Tip's able to, again, kind of find those straggler kills. Oops. The same thing we saw them pick up. The side, just the side.
Yeah, so here's Fang on the backside. He gets the flank. He does hunt up Chris, actually just missing a Special there, but able to tank up enough damage, and a great flash on the Shockwave. Getting out, you can see Mash on the side, putting out consistent damage here. The ult from Proxen coming in to finish off Special, and who else? It's been Proxen all day here for Tip. But this is exactly what they need. It's once again, it's the flanks, right? It's all dependent on getting behind the team, coming in from these angles that they don't expect, from the angles that they can't react to, because in a straight kind of line and scrimmage fight, Apex, it does have a very, very strong comp. But if you can get the flanks off with the Shen, you make things kind of dirty, you make things messy, and those are the fights where people like Graves and Rise are going to succeed.
Still looking for the ball delivery system to come in onto Impulse. Like we said, or I mentioned earlier, definitely felt that Apex had some great late game fights, the organization and the way they kind of come in. The ideas are there. The execution as it goes does not seem to follow through there. 6-0 right now for Impulse, very much like game 1 here in the sense of that kill score, and the gold lead is starting to stretch now at 4,000. Impulse here kind of standing still for the engages. You can see there's not much kind of fluster being provided by these engages of Apex, and Impulse is more than happy to sit, wait, and figure out a way back into it. Mash here, frontlining his way through the jungle over to Keen. Ardent Blaze almost picking up the kill. They're not going to flash over the wall here. They actually don't have it. And this engage will not stop until Tip gets the kills they want or die trying. And Apex is going to turn on the fight as well. A pretty nice shockwave grabs up 2, but it's just too tanky for Tip right now. And Apex starts to fall. Overall, a 2-2 in the fight, but there were a lot of summoners blown by Impulse on that as well.
Yeah,
and it could be a chance, for these guys to get back in.
Nicely played by Chris. He does land the parallel convergence. Can phase dive out of there. Special eventually probably going to get run down here, but once again, I mean, the fight looked like it was over, but Pyrion says no. He's going in. He goes deep, gets a Shen ult. So, you know, Special, he's on a run.
That's one of those things where you say we have the entire enemy team at about 50% HP. What else can we do on the map? Nothing. Chase them down and kill them. Like, why?
Yeah, they probably should just push mid, but I think they thought they would get the kill for sure.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Is he going to get...
Oh, it's
Sunfire!
The Sunfire! No, you stopped! Oh, you're right. It is the Sunfire. Oh, man. Dom and Zyrene always talk about that 0.1 second you have.
Yeah.
That must have been 0.3.
Yeah, it's the Sunfire cape that actually burns him out of that base. So
oh no,
that was worth. That's why you buy it. But I mean, pretty crazy stuff. You know, Apex having the balls to start up the Baron like that.
Yeah,
and you know these gate ults have been on point. You know, every time he goes for that Bard ult, he's getting flashes every single time. So he's been on point with this, and you know, they're not able to always lock down the player they want, but they're forcing summoners, which enables them to get these long chases. And here it is once again. Feg spots them out, and Apex is kind of like, well, what do we do now? You know, Chris is on the bottom side. They actually decide to start fighting. And this is where the Rise is going to come in. This is going to turn into a pretty hard engage. Baron, though, look at Police. Baron is hitting Police this whole time, and he's basically out of the fight before it even gets to start. And this is just going to be the long chase down, but Police was so low from the Baron that he's never able to really contribute. He just had to run the whole time, and Keen living barely there. Rise is going to come around the backside with the Shen ulti. He's barely not able to get inside the Kindred ult as he actually gets stunned up outside of it. Braum ult into that stun. He was about a centimeter outside of that ult, or would have gone even worse for Apex.
Mash in that 1v1 and the finalizing kills.
Whew. Yeah, so I mean, after the chase down on Special ends up being a 3-for-2, but a pretty darn close fight. And
you're right,
and Pyrion actually was so close to getting inside that ult, which would have gone much better for them. But you know, Tip is looking very aggressively, and they are chasing these fights pretty hard. But at the same time, I think that they feel similarly to I do. In how that they have to make something happen, right? They have to get on top of them. They want to fight aggressively. They don't want to allow Apex the luxury of having these perfectly set up fights.
Everything that's been happening when they're winning the fights too is going across the board. Top lane's getting kills, assists, jungle as well. They are distributing the gold very nicely, and it only helps. Fate's call goes in, goes out. Whoa, it's Special.
Special going way too deep there, going back in at 5%.
That was
Proxon's
crazy. Proxon getting in, getting out. They're going to say, hang on, hold on. Their Special definitely putting a click in there that thought would have been a valiant attempt for the team, but he goes down immediately, and Tip didn't really want to bite after that. It looked like they could, but they actually held off.
Yeah, I mean, the shockwave's still up from Keen. They don't want to funnel through there, so I think smart play from them. But, you know, Special got his butt saved by Police. He was almost dead there, and then he just goes right back in, and Tip's moving for the Baron.
Wow, 29 minutes in. They are still in almost full objective.
Do they want to risk it? Eve goes in.
Eve very, very low. They're stopping. He puts down the ult. All members have stopped hitting Baron of Impulse. A collective choice. And they are going to have the smite for Baron as it comes back around. Eve a little too hot foot there to get in early. And it is going to be another Baron coming in. Impulse will not stop here. End of the line takes Keen very low. The flash forward and the last 2 shots in the chamber from Proxim before he reloads the shotgun. It's a bunch of fun for Pyrian now. He's in. The rest of the team's there to follow. The shields are just enough to get them in and out. And Fang, the one with the tank, hasn't even really lost health yet. Impulse, turn up the heat.
Oh my God, Impulse just went off there. That was so well played. He went into the Baron pit a bit too early, and that just resulted in a crazy fight. Tip's gonna be able to push down mid here, at least take 1 inhib, and I think they could maybe even go for the end if they want to risk it.
It's Eve that comes up in 6 seconds. This is going to be game number 2. What a flip of the switch. Basically neck and neck until what was a 4,000 gold lead. That explodes and balloons into 12K. And the final finishing touch is being put on the Nexus. Tip takes game 2 of the series.
What a fight there by Tip. And
wow.
I thought they were going a little bit too aggressive when they started diving that turret. You know, Pyrian's just running right in there, but they knew their limits. And once again, Proxim, this guy's just going off. He's 8-0-6 on Graves after a 9-1-5 on Kindred. Someone needs to stop him. He's just completely dismantling Apex here. And they've played really well. Start to finish, the whole team is looking really, really good.
Wow, it's going to be tough for Apex to really figure out what to do next. A different comp coming out from Impulse, and even Apex watching their games. Keen, the guy in the mid lane, is somebody that can switch champions up. Yep. He has a huge pool, a huge place of diversity coming in for Apex, and that's 2 he's been shut down on now. And the Graves, I was absolutely excited to see because of his play and what he can do for the team, but Impulse has just had almost every lane's number and made it very hard for Apex.
Yeah, they looked great. And I mean, going into this game, I gave the advantage to Apex as far as comps. I think that it was a lot harder to execute Tip's comp. They had to put on pressure. You know, they're the ones that have to make stuff happen. But especially the Fang Pyrian combo, yeah, Proxim was kind of the superstar once again, picking up all the kills. But Fang and Pyrian,
so good. They
were working so well together. Every time that Fang was ulting in, he was ulting in on this Rise, enabling him to go really deep in these fights with that Stand United shield, and allowing the Shen to get into the center of these fights and just make stuff so disruptive.
It was crazy to see because it actually worked out with the speed they had to execute their comp, because you don't have time as an Orianna to find the right ball, right? We saw actually a 1 person missed on Fang. He flashed out, it would have hit him, but Keen almost didn't have options with how fast this comp moved, and it really worked out. We're actually going to get a replay of the Baron fight just to see how chaotic the fights were, but then controlled by Impulse. They find the openings right away. Let's roll it.
And I mean, Eve goes in here, you know, he does go in a bit early. He's thinking they're going to try to burst it. He realizes his mistake and throws down the ult. This actually makes the Baron immune as well. So he's hoping he can still burst it down. You can see Chris was actually trying to burst it with him, trying to get that kill. But this is where it all kind of goes bad. And, you know, Keen getting that shockwave on Pyrian and Fang, but they're so tanky. They're able to take out Chris, and it's a chase down. Proxim knows he can keep going. He has the Baron buff. He has the red buff for the slow. He's going to flash in there, finishing off Keen. And, you know, once Keen was down, they just say, hey, they have no more damage left. Pyrian goes in. He's going to get in there and actually get out of range as Fang is able to land the taunt, and just so much damage coming across. So well executed by Tip, and they have to be really happy with this game.
I actually didn't notice that by Proxim, because I was wondering who was the turret tanking, and the screen had panned away from him, but he tanked an extra 3 shots to make that super safe, and then it went on to Fang in the end anyway, so Shen takes 3 shots. Like, everything they're thinking about is to get the win. They're not kind of letting that mentality go to the wayside a bit, not saying, hey, we're up, yeah, we can dive if you blow flash, that's all right. It's if you blow flash, we want that advantage. There has to be a positive, and that's what Impulse has been finding. Very different from the season, from their regular season.
I mean, we saw them talking, right? They're like, oh, you know, our communication's not that good. That's kind of our problem. Damn, Impulse, where were you all season? You're looking good.
Yeah,
I mean,
really using that status.
This is strong. They're looking like their communication is on point.
Right.
They're fixing some of their issues, and this has just got to be demoralizing for Apex. You come in as a favorite, you get smacked down game 1.
Yeah.
You say, okay, we'll mix it up. We get the Kindred this time around. We get the Echo. We're getting all these power picks. This is looking great, and then it gets absolutely smacked down game 2 as well. So now this is something where it's really like you need to rely on your vets. You need to rely on X-Special and stuff to calm down the team. And see if they can rally back.
Take a breath. They got a little bit of time, and so do you. Stick around to see if Team Impulse can pull off the sweep to secure their spot in the LCS. We've got Game 3 against Apex coming your way right after this. We'll tally those up as we get into game. We're about to get on the rift for game number 2. Who will lock down? And it's Police and Key into the back line, leaving only Chris to fend for himself. But the fact that he got that parallel convergence stun was absolutely huge.
Ori. The Kindred ult. Okay, I stun after Kindred ult. Good.
Go, 오리 하나 노플래시, 오리 하나 노플래시.
Nice.
He's in. The rest of the team's there to follow. The shields are just enough to get them in and out. And this is going to be game number 2. What a flip of the switch.